bore some children. So she was the very beginning of motherhood. Now, all of us can say the same thing. If our mother wasn't here, we would not be here. No one in this world would be here if their mother wasn't here, regardless of whether their mother was good, bad, or indifferent. Whether they knew how to raise you, made mistakes raising you, or didn't raise you at all. All of these things you can look at and see within the Word of God. There's examples of good mothers in the Word of God. There's examples of bad mothers in the Word of God. But we are going to look at a few, and there's a few things I would like to point out unto us that we can reflect on why we're here. First mother I would like to look at is in Genesis, the 17th chapter, because this is really the first promise made unto mankind to a mother that God had specifically blessed. Genesis, the 17th chapter, I'll read verses 15 through 19. God said unto Abraham, as for Sarah thy wife, thou shalt not call her name Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. And this is what God said, I will bless her and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed, and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah, that is 90 years old, bear? And Abraham said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee. And God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. So as you look at this passage of scripture and these words that were spoken by God, this established a promise to every single person that was born under the lineage of Sarah. Now, Abraham laughed. Why did he laugh? Because they was both old. How are we going to have children? We way past that time. But God don't always do things the way that we think he should do it. And he decided that these two old people were going to be the ones that he was going to bless. And it said, nations shall come out of her, and kings shall be of her. Now, we live looking at history that's already happened, and we've seen the fruition of this. But when you think about this, everyone that has been born since they were on the earth are a direct lineage from them. And there's a lot of people that don't think like that. But every single person comes from this lineage. All of the people in the world, you got people that are blessed. There's Christians that are blessed. You realize your lineage has come from Sarah and Abraham because they were people that loved and feared God. Now, there's other people that had children from other individuals, but some of them were not believers. And you see their offspring in the world too. But those of us that are Christians, that are endeavoring to live for God, our lineage is from Sarah. And we've seen God's blessings go forth just as he promised to all the generations that followed her, all the generations after Isaac. All the blessings come through him. Christ came through that lineage, and our blessings come through that lineage. She represents something. She set the example of how to share with each and every offspring of a person, I believe Sarah taught Isaac about God. I believe that she raised him well. You can tell by his actions as he went with Abraham, his father. He learned how to obey his father. His father told him, lie on the stones. Did Isaac rebel? I'm not lying on those stones. What's wrong with you? No, you see respect that was shared. And I believe that Sarah is the one that instilled that in Isaac. And so we can look at this example and we can see this is the beginning. A blessed life originated from Sarah. And it was a person that God chose beyond childbearing years to give a son to. So now let's look at another example. In this particular example, we've got two mothers here. And there's even a daughter that is learning and learned how to be a mother. You see, mothers just don't pop up. They have to be taught something. And over the time that a mother spends with the child, they're teaching them something little by little. So now let's turn to Exodus. And I want to get the second chapter, Exodus, and we're going to read verses 1 through 10. Exodus 2, verses 1 through 10. And there went a man of the house of Levi and took to wife a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived, bare a son. And when she saw him that he was goodly, a goodly child, she hid him 3 months. And when she could no longer hide him, she took him for him an ark of bulrushes and daubed it with slime and with pitch. Put the child therein, and she laid it in the flags by the river's brink. And his sister stood afar off to wit what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself at the river, and her maidens walked along by the river's side. And when she saw the ark among the flags, she sent her maid to fetch it. And when she had opened it, she saw the child, and behold, the babe wept. And she had compassion on him, and said, This is one of the Hebrews' children. Then said his sister to Pharaoh's daughter, Shall I go and call thee a nurse of the Hebrew women, that she may nurse the child for thee? And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Go. And the maid went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said unto her, Take this child away and nurse it for me, and I will give thee thy wages. And the woman took the child and nursed it. And the child grew. She brought him unto Pharaoh's daughter. He became her son. She called his name Moses. And she said, Because I drew him out of the water. Now here's two mothers and a daughter. I didn't read the beginning in the first chapter where Pharaoh had said that the children of Israel was having too many babies. And he looked at them as a threat. And he gave a command, an infanticide command, or in our language, capital murder command, to kill every single baby boy that was born. They were instructed to take these baby boys, throw them in the river so they could drown. These mothers did not follow his instruction. Why? Because they had a fear of God. They understood that this particular Pharaoh wasn't in his right mind. What he saw as a threat was no threat at all. But because the Pharaoh did not know God, nor did he fear God, he made such a command. Now, here you have the mother of Moses. Do you know what would have happened to her if Pharaoh would have found her with the baby? Pharaoh would have killed the baby and her. But you see, God had a plan. This mother had something within her that she was willing to take the risk to protect this child. And here her daughter is looking at her example, follows the instructions of her mother, says, go put him in the river and keep watch for him. And the daughter stayed there and watched. I can't help but wonder if when the Pharaoh's wife and her maidens came to the river, that she did not, or the daughter of Pharaoh and her maidens came to the river, that they did not recognize that there was a little girl watching that little basket. And it said Pharaoh's daughter had compassion. She didn't follow Pharaoh's instruction either. Here's a baby that's crying. It needs to be nursed. And as she commanded her maids to go find the Hebrew to care for Moses. And you look at this, all of the mothers, all the Hebrew mothers, how did it work out that Moses ended up with his own mother? You think Pharaoh's daughter, Pharaoh may not have killed his own daughter for disobeying, but he sure would have killed Moses' mother for disobeying. And so you see, his daughter had compassion, had the heart of a mother. And Moses was raised. Now, she was raised by his mother. He was raised by his mother up till he was weaned. And then he went to live with Pharaoh's daughter, and she raised him as her own. Now, when you look at this world, there's some thoughts that came to my mind. And this is why I gave this the title, The Glue of Us All. Men don't always make good decisions. I'm just going to be honest and frank. Here's a Pharaoh that's going to kill I don't know how many babies died at his command. But that was the first case of mass murder because he thought they was a threat. How is a little baby a threat to your kingdom? How long is it going to take for these little babies to grow up and become men, let alone become trained men to even challenge your kingdom? And so when we look at this, I believe the only reason why this world is still in existence is because there have been mothers that has been the glue to the world. The tendency of men is not to create harmony and peace. Men are born with an innate part of them that is to conquer. And how do men conquer? Fussing, fighting, bickering. And if it bothers them enough, they'll actually kill over it too. So I don't believe that if there was no mothers in this world wouldn't exist because men would have killed each other by now. But here you see two mothers and a daughter take the risk to save this baby. Now I know God had a hand in that. But there is something that's given to a mother that fathers don't have. The ability to nurture, the ability to see what needs to be done. I need to protect this child. They put the baby in the river. Now, I believe this is the Nile. And if I'm not mistaken, there's dangerous animals in the Nile. So not only was the daughter who was sitting on the bank, looking and watching her baby brother, waiting to see what would happen. Do you think they came immediately? She set them out there, and then they show up. It said when she went to bathe. So it comes in my mind that she probably had to sit there a while and watch over Moses. Do you see the trait she had? That's what mothers do. Mothers don't always say stuff to you, but they watch. They keep watch over you. You consider animals in nature. Mother hen, mother duck. Do you ever see the little chickens following a rooster around? They don't follow the rooster around, they follow the hen. And she can make a sound and them chickens know to come close to her. Ducks are the same way. The mother duck communicates with the little baby, so they learn her voice. And when they go out on the river and you see the mother duck swimming along, you see all the ducks lined up in a row right behind her. And all she has to do is make a sound and they know where to go. You don't see the male ducks around. Now, there are some birds that the males take care of the nest. But in general, it's the mother of the animals that takes care of the babies. When you look at this, there's some traits that mothers have that, a father can be a good father, but he don't have the traits of a mother. You know, a father you may come and tell your father, I'm hungry. And for example, you done missed dinner time. What do you think a mama's going to do? A mama's going to fix you something or help you find out what to eat. You know what a dad's going to do? Dad's going to say you shouldn't have missed the meal. You can go without. That's what a dad's going to do. But a mother is always going to take care of her children. She's always going to be aware of her children. When they grow up and leave the house, who is it that's always concerned about the children? Who is it that for the most part prays for the children? It's the mothers. So we see these two mothers take care of Moses. Between the two of them, and we know the story of Moses. We know what his life did. We know what his purpose was. He took the children of Israel out of Egypt. And all that Pharaoh was worried about don't even exist no more. Because what did God say? The Egyptians who you see today, you will see no more. And we know what happened. They crossed that Red Sea and them Egyptians perished. So all that Pharaoh had in his mind, you know he paid for all them babies he killed? Two attributes that also came to my mind. One is the wisdom of a mother. There is wisdom that is granted to mothers for the raising of children that fathers do not receive. I want to get Proverbs 14:1. Consider what this says. Proverbs 14:1. It says, every wise woman buildeth her house, but the foolish plucketh it down with her hands. If you have a wise mother that has built a house for you to live in, for you to be safe in, for you to have a healthy upbringing, you ought to be real thankful. You got a place to go. When you're a child, the mother gives you food. When you're a child, the mother washes your clothes. When you're a child, a mother bathes you. When you're a child, a mother takes you to the park to have fun. And then she keeps an eye on you while you're at the park. Now, when you become a teenager, that might change some. You might have some responsibility. But while you are young, it's the wise mother that gives you a good environment to grow up in. That's why when you see a child that's disrespectful to a mother, you know what you want to do? You want to get a hold of a belt and give that child a good spanking because they don't understand what the mother has done for them. One thing that I can't hardly tolerate is a disrespectful child to their mother. Observe people in the store with disrespectful children. It's like, let me get a hold of that child. Because they need something. They need the fear of God put in them. because they wouldn't exist if their mother wasn't there. Now, it said something about foolish. Foolish plucketh it down with their hands. There's some mothers that's not wise. And why are there so many problems in our society? Because there's been some foolish mothers that has not trained and taught their children like they should. They haven't taught their children the fear of God. If there's one thing that a mother can teach you that you got to get a hold to, is the fear of God, because there's going to be consequences if you don't have it. We see enough people in the world that don't have the fear of God, and we see things that happen to them. But if you have a wise mother, you ought to be real thankful. Now I want to show you one more example that came to my mind. In Ruth, the first chapter. This is not particular scriptures that we talk about a lot, but I want you to consider in the book of Ruth. There's two individuals that are talked about here. And I want us to consider what happens here in this scenario. Now, Naomi is the mother in this case. She's the one that is the key figure. But consider what this says. It's going to be quite a bit of reading, but listen as we read this. Now it came to pass in the days when the judges ruled that there was a famine in the land. And a certain man of Bethlehem, Judah, went to sojourn in the country of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons. And the name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife was Naomi. The name of his 2 sons, Mahlon and Chilion. Euphratites of Bethlehem, Judah, and they came into the country of Moab and continued there. And Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left and her 2 sons. And they took them wives of the women of Moab. The name of one was Orpah, and the name of the other Ruth. And they dwelled there about 10 years. And Mahlon and Chilion died also, both of them. And the woman was left of her 2 sons and her husband. She then arose with her daughters-in-law, that she might return from the country of Moab, for she had heard in the country of Moab how the Lord had visited his people in giving them bread. Wherefore she went forth out of the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her. Now, consider this. Her sons had passed away. And here, her daughter-in-laws are staying with her. There's no blood connection there. There's just the connection of these are my son's spouses. They're widows. And they're with me. Now listen to what she said. Naomi said unto her 2 daughters-in-law, Go, return each to her mother's house. The Lord deal kindly with you, as he had dealt with the dead and with me. The Lord grant that ye may find rest, each of you, in the house of her husband. Then she kissed them, and they lifted up their voices and wept. They said unto her, Surely we will return with thee unto thy people. And Naomi said, Turn again, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Are there yet any more sons in my womb, that they may be your husbands? Turn again, my daughters, go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say I have hope, and if I should have a husband also tonight, and also bear sons, would ye tarry for them till they are grown? Would ye stay for them from having husbands? Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sakes that the hand of the Lord has gone out against me. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clave unto her. So one of them decided to go back to her country. Ruth didn't want to. You notice the type of mother that Naomi was caused Ruth to want to stay with her. And it said, Ruth clave unto her. She said, behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her gods. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee, nor to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go. And where thou lodgest, I will lodge. Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God. Where thou diest, will I die, and there will I be buried. The Lord do so to me and more also, if aught but death part thee and me. When she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, then she left speaking unto her. Now, you look at these two daughter-in-laws. One of them missed the blessing. She decided to go back to her people. Notice it said her gods. But Ruth had saw something in Naomi that wanted her to stay with her. And this is a testament to a mother's love. Ruth was not Naomi's child. Ruth was grown. Yet Naomi had enough love to allow her to come with her. And it said, thy God shall be my God. And we understand that Naomi worshiped the one true God. So the blessing that Ruth got was she got a mother and she got a God. She got a real God. Because I'm going to tell you something about these other gods that this other people had. They're not real. And so the other girl missed out. But here you see Naomi say, all right, come on. You can go with me. And you read through the rest of the book of Ruth, you see that Ruth's life ended up blessed. She ended up with the husband. But it was Naomi's love that reached out to her that caused her to want to stay with Naomi. So let's talk a little bit about a mother's love. We've heard examples of individuals going and substituting at school. And you got all these children. They're not your children. But individuals show them the kind of love that their own parent should show them. Now you see, me personally, I wouldn't go substitute. Because I wouldn't be able to put up with all their disobedience and ruckus. It's like, ain't my child. Their parents should be raising them. But you see, mothers will go and do that and show them love. That's what a mother has. She'll love a child that ain't even her own. You know, in the animal kingdom, I forget which animal it is. If the animal has babies following her around, the female animal has babies that are following her around, you know the male will kill them babies? Because those babies don't belong to that male. So they'll come in and they'll try to kill them babies. And that mother will defend them babies, and she will cause serious harm to that male animal. That's the nature of a male. A male don't have love like a mother has. We can admit it. We don't have love like a mother has. You know, you get a rebellious, hard-headed child, when they leave home, the mother's still concerned about them. You know, a dad will say, you know what, let them bump their head a few times and get in trouble. That's the way a male will do. But a mother will love a child. You ever seen cases where a child was convicted of a crime and a mother sat there through their trial and still said, I love them. I don't like what they did, but I still love them. You know, a dad will disown them. That ain't my child. Something wrong with that child. That's what'll happen. But a mother will love unconditionally. Now, where can you get that kind of love? Only God gives that kind of love. And that's one of the traits that he gave to mothers. So these are just some examples we looked at of mothers. And that's why I say they're the glue. There's a lot of things that God has given us that's the glue for us all. But in particular, when we're talking and considering about mothers, mothers are the glue of us all. How many mothers adopt children? Don't belong to them. They didn't bear them, but they adopt them and raise them like they're their own. And they don't even tell the child that you're adopted. They tell them, you're my child. Now, later on in life, they may come to find out that they were adopted. But when they're growing up, they never know that. And that's what a mother does. So when you consider where our society is, the value of real mothers, wise mothers, mothers that are filled with the love of God, goes a long distance. And there's blessings that follow. You go back to the blessing that God gave to Sarah. I will bless you. Nations shall come of you. Kings shall come of you. And you look across this entire world, you can see that. It has taken place. And that blessing, it said, would be there every seed. Every generation has this same blessing. So if you have a mother that loves you, you have a mother that cares for you, a mother that has given you protection and love and life and care, you ought to appreciate it. And when it comes time to maybe your mother tells you something that you don't want to hear, it's a bad idea to be disrespectful. Because now you're going against the blessing that God has granted. And we've seen many children that disrespect and rebel against their parents, and they get into trouble. And some of them have great regrets in their life over decisions that they have made. So keep this in mind. You got a good mother, God is somewhere around. And part of your obedience and devotion to your mother, God sees it. And he says, this child loves and respects their mother, I will bless them. You got that disobedient child? What does it say about a disobedient child? It says a disobedient child will live only half their days. And when you see sometimes children that die really, really young, you wonder what kind of child were they? I remember one child that we knew personally, had a good mother, was given good instructions, was loved and cared for. And the mother said, when you leave school, don't go by the pond. And that disobedient child went by the pond. Now, these particular ponds had a very soft bottom. And so when you went in there, you could disappear real fast. Because it was not sand and rock that you could walk into the water and you had good footing. And you know what happened to that child? That child was disobedient. And that child went to that pond. And that child got in that pond, and that child died in that pond. Never reached 10 years old. And had a good mother that had given him instructions. So there's a cost associated with not. The scripture says, honor thy father and thy mother, that it may be well with thee, and that thou might live long on the earth. You and your mother have a connection. And if you honor and follow her instruction, you can have a real blessed life. So as you consider today being Mother's Day, reflect on all that your mother has done for you. Number one, she birthed you, and it wasn't easy. There's pain associated with birth. And then she stayed up when you couldn't sleep as a baby. Not only did she stay up with you, she fed you, bathed you, clothed you, make sure you had a bed to sleep in, make sure you had food to eat. You know, you ever see I remember I had to feed some of my siblings. There are some things they didn't like. Some of them didn't like the green stuff. So they look at the spoon and they see green and they would stick the tongue out. Don't want it. You have to mask it with some applesauce to get them to eat it. You know, mothers gave you stuff you didn't want, but it was good for you. What else did they do? How come you can read? How come you can count? You ever consider that? Your mother taught you how to read and taught you how to count. All the other skills that you have, your mother is the one that teaches you. And people take all that stuff for granted and don't think about it. All the effort that a mother puts in. I can't remember what the salary they said it would be for a mother if they were paid for what they do. But I recall that it was at least 6 figures. Now, your mother does it for free because she loves you and she cares about you. So as this is Mother's Day, consider that. Your mother's done a lot for you. Now, what are you going to do for your mother? You treat her like just a convenience. Oh, she's there. Mom, I need this. Mom, I need that. Is it everything I say is I need? Or is it, what can I do for you, mother? When you come to realize what she has done for you, sometimes your mother needs some help. And each one of us can consider what our mother has done and the blessings tied for when we reciprocate to our mother. When we respect and honor them, there's a blessing tied to it. And God don't miss nothing. He knows what we all think. He knows what we all do. When you go behind the door and you're upset at your mother and you utter off a few curse words because you're upset, or you say this or say that, you know God was right there listening. Your mother may not have saw it, but God sure did. Then sometimes he lets some things come your way and you got to suffer a little while. Why is this happening to me? There's some suffering involved because of your actions and thoughts. So these are the things we have to consider. There's a blessing upon mothers that God has put there. And if we rebel and disrespect against our mother, we're going to get in trouble. I promise you that. I've had enough experiences in my life where when I was a little rebellious and upset because of something my mother did, I paid for it. Some of these injuries that I had growing up. And you know what? Why is this happening to me? And you know what God would do? He would bring back to my mind my thoughts and actions that I had towards my mother or my father, either one. And then I began to realize this is why this happened. So consider that. Mothers are the glue. They hold a lot of things together. A lot of these teachers that are mothers, they take care of all these children year after year. It's like sometimes when I observe teachers, like, I can't do that. Every year you got 30 different kids and you teaching them, and some of them don't even appreciate it. Like, how can you do that year after year? It takes something special from God. And that's a trait that mothers have. And sad to say, most fathers don't have those same traits. We got some different traits, but we don't have what mothers have. You see children that are raised by their dad, they're missing something. Most of the time, they're not compassionate, not caring. None of those things, those traits aren't developed. It's a mother that develops those. Mother comes along and say, don't do your sibling like that as you're growing up. No, that's not right. Where's the dad at? Most of the time, they're at work. If we live in a different society now, it's not always like that. But when I was growing up, who was at home? Who made sure that I came in from school and did my homework and did my chores before I decided that I want to go outside and play football or basketball? Had to work first. Yes, it was frustrating. Or I had a chore to do and I didn't do it right and I had to do it over. So sometimes you might wonder, why are you trying to help me to be neat? I'm going to give you an example. My brother and I, we were teenagers. And we were instructed to clean our room. And so we did what we usually do. We piled some stuff under the dresser and under the bed, in the closet, so that when she would walk in, she would see the floor is clean, so that we could go play football. Well, this particular time, she came in the room. And she went to the bed, looked under the bed. Then she went to the drawers, pulled them open, and saw the mess. Then she went to the closet and saw the other mess. And she did something we never seen her do before. She opened up the drawers and she took everything out, put it in the middle of the floor. Now, mind you, it's two of us sharing the room. Then she went to the bed, pulled the stuff out from under the bed and pulled the covers off the bed because it wasn't even made up right. Then she went to the closet and put everything out the closet. And we had a pile like this in the middle of the room. And then she said, now clean the room. We got the message. And it was never like that ever again. When she said, clean your room, we made sure our clothes was folded neatly in the dresser. Our clothes were hanging in the closet. Our toys that we had were neatly organized under the bed. And our bed, when we made it, it was made. We got the message. And that's the purpose of a mother. My dad never saw that. Because you know what? We had it cleaned up and right before he got home from work. Because we knew there would be a consequence if it wasn't. So that's what a mother does. And that's why we appreciate our mothers. You got a mother that has care and concern for you, you ought to be real thankful. Because if it wasn't for them, you don't know where you would be.